Cindy Sullivan is suing fellow motorist advertising strategist Anthony Nico Van Prague for damaging her car in a fit of road rage. Nico is countersuing, claiming Cindy shoved him off his motorcycle.
Yeah, this is case number 20 on the calendar in the matter of Sullivan versus Van Prague. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
I have a claim, Officer Byrd, and I have a counterclaim. And these two people were involved in an incident of road rage. Each one of them got a little out of hand. So Miss Sullivan is suing the defendant for damage she says he did to her car when he kicked her car with a boot, I assume, that boot. And then for having her falsely arrested for assault. Mr. Van Prague says she did in fact assault him. He is suing her for that. And he's also suing her for damage she did to his motorcycle. When she pushed him off the motorcycle, he lost control of it and it was damaged. They're going to try to explain to me by the use of these charts why each of them was right. You were driving your car, Miss Sullivan. You were coming from where? Show me.
I was coming from here and was stopped at the stoplight there.
Stopped at a stoplight. And then according to what I sort of put together in your complaint, you got a phone call.
Yes.
While you were stopped at the stoplight.
Correct.
And that phone call said that somebody you knew was taken to the hospital. You had to change direction.
Correct. Later on down the road.
Now, show me where you had to go after you got this phone call.
The phone call was complete before I moved my car. The light was red. I was in this lane. I was going to have to be in number 2 lane later down the road because I did not want to get on the freeway. I wanted to go straight to the hospital. There's quite a bit of traffic, so I knew it was going to take me quite a while to get over, so I put my turn signal on. You have to keep this clear, and there was congestion all over, so when the light turned green, there was one other car in front of me. It proceeded through when it was safe and could clear the intersection. I slowly started to go through. I accelerated when I see I could make it through the intersection. Just as I entered the intersection, I went by my driver's side, and then cut in front of me, right about here where the median is.
Okay, so what did you do?
I flashed my lights at him, kind of like to say...
Just a minute.
Yes?
He passed you.
Correct.
Safely passed you. Didn't hit you.
Correct.
And you could have just kept on going and meandered over to the right.
Correct.
But you chose to flash your brights at him.
Correct.
In an act of road rage.
If you want to interpret that way.
Well, that's what it is.
Okay.
You flashed your lights on, hoping to annoy him, because he, according to you, went around you too fast and cut in front of you.
There is not a lane of traffic where he passed me.
What happened next?
Well, I proceeded, someone let me in, so after I made it through the intersection, I made it into the number 2 lane.
Good.
Traffic was stopped. My car wasn't completely in the number 2 lane. It was kind of like at an angle, but I was completely in the number 2 lane.
Okay, what happened next?
Traffic was stopped. I had an SUV next to me. I saw the headlight of the gentleman's motorcycle come out from behind the SUV. So I assumed he was going to go between the two of us, as many motorcycles do. And then I heard and felt something hit my car. Mm-hmm. I immediately got out because I figured he hit my car trying to go between us. And I said, "What the hell are you doing?"
You didn't say hell.
Yes, I said hell.
No, it's not even what you say here. You said to him, "What are you doing?" Okay. You said, "What are you doing?"
Well, I didn't say. I used profanity, as we both did. He started yelling at me, saying I tried to kill him. He said he kicked my car to get my attention. Mm-hmm. And that he yelled that I tried to kill him. Mm-hmm. And I said, "No, you're the one that did an evasive move in traffic through the intersection and cutting in front of me. You're the one that could have caused hurt." Okay? So words continued to go, just yelling back and forth. All I could see was his eyes and his mouth. He had a helmet on. And I saw something in his eye, and his whole body in the motorcycle came forward. And I just had a split reaction to defend myself. I put my hands out in front of me, extended my arms, and
you pushed
backed
him.
up. Correct.
Pushed him.
Correct.
Okay. And what happened when you pushed him?
He jumped off the bike.
Okay.
As I'm backing away, he went to lay the bike down. He had his hand on the handle, the grip, and as he laid it down, it kind of spun a little bit. It revved up. I saw the back tire turn. It made contact with the ground. The bike rotated once, twice. He reached back, and I guess it's the throttle or whatever, and stopped from revving. He started jumping around, yelling and screaming, and I continued to proceed to my car, backing up, got into my car. He yelled about calling the police. I said, "Go right ahead," and I'm going to. I wanted to leave the scene because I felt unsafe. I didn't know what he was going to do.
Where's Sullivan? Why did you get out of your car in the first place?
It's just reaction. I thought he hit my car. It was an accident. We need to get out and exchange information. I didn't know he did it aggressively.
Well, once you realized what it was, why didn't you quickly get back into your car instead of standing out there in the street with traffic all around you, screaming and yelling at him?
I don't know. I guess I wanted him to hear my side. He's saying I tried to kill him. I said, no, I didn't. You're the one that did something evasive and illegal.
Now, at some point, you say that the police arrived and you told them your side of the story. You told them your side of the story. Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. But then the next day, you went to the police station.
Correct.
To file a supplementary report.
Correct.
Why?
Because when I came out, we had first looked, it was dark. They tried to look with a flashlight, and they couldn't see the dent in my car. You could see like the outline of a foot on each side. So when I came out the next morning, sun out, you could see the dent. So I went back to the police station just so they could put that in record that there was damage to my car.
All right. Can I see the initial police reports, please?
I had all the supplementals
Now,
attached. Do you
when
want
were
those?
you arrested for assault?
I wasn't arrested. I was charged.
Charged.
I received it in mid-April.
Good. Can I see it, please? It says that you did willfully and unlawfully use force upon a person, to wit, Anthony von Prague. You did do that.
To protect myself, yes.
Well, I haven't heard protecting yourself. He didn't put his hands on you.
He had a 600-pound motorcycle that himself and the motorcycle moved towards me.
You say in your initial report to the police, you don't say that he lunged forward with his motorcycle. What you say is she got out of the car, she saw Von Prague. At one point, she thought she saw Von Prague and his motorcycle lunge toward her. Out of instinct and self-defense, she put her hands out and pushed Von Prague on his right side. Okay? So you don't say that he moved the motorcycle. You say to the police, you thought he moved the motorcycle.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to him yet. Go.
Okay, Your Honor, I was proceeding in the number 1 lane here with my motorcycle. The defendant was trying to cross over into the number 3 lane, which is the northbound lane getting onto the freeway here, and she had blocked traffic essentially in all 3 lanes at this point. Her car, the majority of her car was in lane number 2, but the rear of her car was still sticking into lane number 1. I proceeded around the rear of her vehicle, opposite of her path of travel. There was about at least half the lane exposed there, and I continued on. The next thing I know, both my mirrors are filled with lights, and I look at my mirrors and I see a vehicle coming up about twice my speed, straddling the center line. So this vehicle had now gone in, come back into the number 1 lane and number 2 lane, and she went by me while swerving to the left slightly, and I was between the curb and the side of her car.
So she passed you.
No, she buzzed me. She went by me fast and in my
understand that.
lane.
After, listen to what I'm
Yes.
saying, sir.
Yes,
You say she buzzed you.
correct.
After she shone her lights in your mirror.
Correct.
You say she passed you.
That is correct.
That's
Yes.
all I want you to
Yes.
say. You say buzzed, I say
Yes.
passed. She passed
She
you.
went past my vehicle.
Right.
And she went by at such a high rate of speed, I actually felt the wind of her car through my armored pants. We came to a stop. Actually, she was in the number 2 lane, as she described. I was still in the number 1 lane. Her vehicle was very close to the center line. I don't think it was crossing over the line into the number 1 lane, but she was very close to me. And I was lined up with a rear quarter panel. I was yelling at her because I had no idea why she had just done this to me, why she had just nearly
Maybe she was a nut.
Maybe she was.
And what do you do when you come in contact with a nut and you're on a motorcycle and they're in a car?
Well, Your Honor,
What is the smart thing to do?
The smart thing to do would be just to proceed in the opposite direction.
That's
Yes.
right.
That's right.
But
That's
you
right.
opted not to do that. You
No.
opted to tell her how dumb she was
Well,
by getting her attention
that is true.
by kicking her car.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. So I knocked on her car once.
No, I'm not finished with my...
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. As you would say, I acted badly.
Yes, you
And,
did.
and
Perfect. Just to say, I have an acknowledgement that you acted badly.
I am willing to fess up in anything I've done in
Perfect.
this situation. So
Go ahead.
at this point, I knocked on the car once with the side of my boot.
No. Listen, I want you to use the word that I'm going to use.
Kick. I kicked her car once with my boot.
He's always a fast learner.
Yes.
Right?
I kicked her car once with the side of my boot. This is the boot here.
All right, now that we've used the boot, could you put the boot on the floor, please?
Yes. I brought the other one in case you want them. So at this point, her door flew open. She came running up to my right-hand side, and I was still on the motorcycle. It's a 600-pound motorcycle. The motorcycle was in gear. Both hands were on the handlebar, and the kickstand was in the up position. And at this point, the traffic was just beginning to proceed, starting with the number 3 lane and starting to work its way over.
Okay.
So
lanes weren't going anywhere because her car was stopped.
That's correct.
Go ahead.
Yes. So she comes flying out of her car. She says, "Why the F did you kick my car?" And I said, "Why the F did you try to kill me? What are you trying to do? You're trying to kill me." And she ran through the list of names, a-hole, et cetera, and I was sitting there. She was in an absolute rage. At this point, traffic was continuing to move. Cars were honking behind us. And I looked at her and I said, "Get back in your car, you fat bee."
Go ahead.
She looked at me, she started shaking, and
quiet! And
she shoved me as hard as she could from my right-hand side. Well, once she shoved me, the motorcycle went over, and at this point, I had to take my hand off the clutch, and that's why the motorcycle started spinning around in circles. I luckily had landed on my feet, and I said, "I'm calling the cops." I went over and got her license plate number even before I shut off the motorcycle, and went back, shut off the motorcycle. At this point, she proceeded to the number 3 lane, got onto the freeway, northbound. I called the police, and I told them what direction she was proceeding, and they went and sent a separate police car and went and chased her down and brought her back to the scene.
That's not correct.
Well, where were you stopped?
I went to the hospital, which is straight ahead. I did not get on 101 north
Just a
or
minute.
south.
So you went to the hospital?
Correct.
Go ahead.
I called Twin City Police Department, and they told me there were policemen on site to go ahead and return to the incident.
Okay, so you came back by yourself? Or
correct.
You came back by yourself?
She came back following a police car.
That is not correct.
Well,
Okay.
it is correct.
No, it is not correct.
She came back following the police car, otherwise she wouldn't even known where we were stopped.
I know exactly where the incident was.
Don't speak to him.
In talking to... I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Judy Sullivan claims fellow motorist Nico Van Prague kicked a dent into the side of her car.
I'd like to see the damage done to your motorcycle.
These are the pictures of the damage, and this is the written estimate. Those pictures were taken the day after. As you'll see from the pictures, the corner of the side bag is ground flat, which confirms the fact that the motorcycle was in gear when it fell over. I also have an affidavit from the BMW dealer who inspected it.
Not necessary.
Okay.
Okay, now let me see the damage caused when Mr. Van Prague kicked your car, which you did, sir. Is that right?
This is the car.
Is that right?
I knocked her in her car once, yes.
You kicked her car. You didn't knock her with your tongue, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You kicked her with your boot.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you kicked her, and you were angry.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you didn't tap her. You kicked it, and you caused a little dimple in her car.
I'll demonstrate to you that I don't have the ability of doing that with this boot or my ability of sitting on the motorcycle.
And how are you going to demonstrate that to me, sir?
Well, I have the boot here, and I also have photographs of me on the motorcycle with a kicking action. It's a very high motorcycle. It's 600 pounds. It has a 33-inch seat height, and I'm only 5'11", so I'm actually on my tippy toes when I'm sitting on the motorcycle. I have a very limited range of motion when I'm sitting on the motorcycle.
Unless
so,
you're really angry.
Well, even if I'm angry, Your Honor.
Can I see a picture of the whole car?
I will show you these pictures.
I'm sorry, I do not have one.
Well, where is this ding in your car?
I have estimates here, but it's in the rear driver's side of the vehicle.
Your Honor, that's a BMW 7 Series. It's very thick sheet metal. If I could do that with any boot, I would at least have to be off the motorcycle. It's
Well, I
also
don't know
above
that,
the bumper in an inset place, and there's no damage to the tail light or the surrounding bumper. So it would be a very difficult angle of attack to be able to get into
Well,
that
let me ask you
area.
this question, sir. Why would you think that Ms. Sullivan would go and file a supplementary report the next day?
I think to defend herself, because it was so clear that she had assaulted me, and it was so clear that she had caused damage to my motorcycle that I thought she...
That's a reasonable explanation. Eventually, these charges were dismissed. Is that right?
Correct.
Good. Were you notified of the dismissal of these battery charges, sir?
I had a discussion with the second DA who took over the case about 2 weeks prior to the trial, and he said that he would like to discuss the evidence with me. He felt that it should be best handled in small claims court.
Okay.
And at that time, I had explained to him that I would rather be done with the issue than take it to court again. But I was disappointed in their decision.
What happened that day was Mr. Von Prague was in a hurry, and he wanted to get around you, which he did. And that irritated you because he probably went around, to your senses, too fast. Instead of letting it rest, which would have avoided any and all confrontation, you decided to, at night, blind him with your lights by flashing your high beams. Unnecessary. Then Mr. Von Prague did something that was more stupid than your flashing your lights at him. He thought that you were trying to hurt him, and he didn't know what kind of a nut you were. So instead of just letting it rest and proceeding on his way, where were you going, Mr. Von Prague?
Home.
Home.
From work.
He decided to kick your car. Very stupid. Now, the next stupid thing that happened was you, not knowing what kind of a nut Mr. Von Prague is, decide to get out of your car and confront him by saying, "What the blank did you do to my car?" So you knew what happened because you got out and said to him, "What the blank are you doing?" And that car's all around you. He responded, "And what the blank are you doing trying to kill me?" And as my father's joke would go, the fight was on. But then, Miss Sullivan, you did something that you're not permitted to do. You put your hands on him. And I find that you were not defending yourself. I find that you were furious. And in a fit of anger, you pushed him off his motorcycle and caused about $660 worth of damage to his motorcycle. That's what you did.
Not in anger.
Yes, it was. It was in anger because you got out of the car angry. You were angry enough at him to put your brights on when he passed you instead of letting it rest. You were that angry. Instead of just letting it rest, you flashed your brights on him. I mean, I've been driving a car for more years than you're old, and I'm telling you, the only time you do that is when you are really PO'd. And if that's not the only time you do it, then you're a very bad driver. In any event, you're not getting a nickel to fix the ding in your car. All I'm doing, sir, is taking out what I consider the $60 that it probably will take to fix the ding in our car from the $660 that you want to fix your motorcycle. And since you behaved equally as badly that day, would you say that that's true, sir? Because you put your foot on her car in anger, giving you a judgment on your counterclaim for $600. That's all. Step in.
Parties are excused.
It's sad to think that a woman can't protect herself.
Well, I think we both acted badly.
A man admittedly aggressively hitting my car.
I was really upset about being run off the road.
I felt threatened. His bike came towards me.
And it was the wrong thing to do, but I was trying to get an explanation as to why she threatened my life.
Just pay attention to my own self and ignore anybody else's responses or reactions.
I would look the other way, and have been since.
19-year-old student Christina Reagan is suing her brother, event promoter Matthew Oakley, for stealing money from her checking account. Matthew is countersuing, claiming Christina defamed his character.
Yeah, this is case number 31 on the calendar in the matter of Reagan versus Oakley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Reagan, Mr. Oakley is your brother.
Yes.
This is your mom.
Yeah.
According to your complaint, you and your mom had an arrangement with your banking.
Mm-hmm.
You would give your mom your money that you were saving for school, and then she had another account where you paid bills at another account. And it is your complaint that your brother accessed the account and stole $1,175 by writing unauthorized checks.
Phone checks.
Your brother says he borrowed the money from your mother. She told him that he had the authority to go in and take the money out of that account, that he paid her back a good deal of it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That he didn't pay her back all of it because he's been generous to her, helping her out the last few months. And he is counterclaiming because he says that you called him a thief in front of some business associates and therefore tarnished his reputation.
He did it on his own.
Shh. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, let's start with what we have. We have a situation where you took money out of a bank account that belonged to
My mother.
your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
According to you. And you took out how much money?
I'm sure it was $1,175 in different disbursements, so not at one time.
And when did you start taking that money out?
This is last year. I don't know the exact dates.
Now, can you explain to me, sir, how you got access to this account?
Yes, ma'am. My mother, those checks are not like regular checks. You have to have a PIN number to access those checks, which is my mother's personal identification number. It's for her bank.
I know what a PIN number
Yeah,
is. Even I, as challenged as I am, know what a PIN number is.
She gave me the account.
Well, tell me how that came about, Mr. Rowan.
I'm an event coordinator. I do sporting events, kind of like a promoter type deal. At first, I needed help with my flyers. So I asked my mother, if I could borrow some money. I told her I'd pay her back.
Okay. So you went to your mother prior to April 2nd.
Yes, ma'am.
And said, I need some money for flyers.
Yes, ma'am.
And your mother is together. I mean, she's not addled or anything. She's a together woman. Is that right? So a normal person would have said, well, if you need some money, what's your first name?
Matthew.
Matthew, how much do you need? Right?
Exactly.
And what did you say?
I said I needed $300.
And what did she say?
She said, okay. She had a checkbook because she worked at Circle K at the time, and there were Circle K checks only.
And she gave you her PIN number.
She gave me her PIN number.
What was the PIN number?
I don't remember it anymore.
And so you went to the bank and you took out $375.
Yes, ma'am.
But your mother had only agreed, according to you, to loan you $300.
No, ma'am, that's not correct. She asked me how much I need,
and you said,
and I said $300. But she did not agree just on a specific amount. She asked me whatever I needed. The flyers ended up coming up to $375.
No. That's just, you made that up as you were going along, sir. An intelligent person, according to you, would say, how much do you need?
Mm-hmm.
You said $300, and according to you, she said okay, and she gave you a PIN number.
Yes, ma'am.
But then you went and took out $375.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Right. Okay. Now, that was on the 2nd of April. Then you took out another $250 on the 4th of April. Tell me about that, sir.
It's the same thing. I needed it for lighting and sound for my event.
So, did you go back to your mother again?
Yes, I asked my mother.
No, did you go back to her again?
Yes, ma'am.
And then again on April 11th, you took out another $250. Did you go back to your mother again?
No.
You just took it out?
Yes, ma'am.
And on the 13th, you took out another $300. Did you go back to your mother again?
No, ma'am.
Okay, now we're going to hear from
Lynn. Thank you. Your Honor, this account that he is speaking of was specifically formed for Christina's college funds and what she needed to do for her college. That was it. I would never give him permission to take any of that money for any of his events whatsoever. And how he got the comm checks is what he's talking about.
Your Honor?
No!
Well, how he got those is he went through my personal property, my papers, and he found them. And he knew that number. I never gave him permission to take that. He went through my papers and took that out. Christina, she goes to school 5 days a week. She works weekends. She's a waitress. She's got a full-time schedule. And she just doesn't have enough time. Nobody's really helping her with school. And so I took on a second job just for that. And I would never give him permission for an event. Matthew's been with me for 4 years now. He's taken money. This isn't the first time that he's done this.
What do you mean he's been with you for 4 years?
He was away.
Away where?
He was in prison.
Yeah.
And he came out.
What was he in prison for?
Grand Theft Auto.
But so just a second. So he's a thief.
Yeah, exactly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Says her brother Matthew Oakley stole from her checking account. Christina says the money was earmarked for her college tuition.
So you went to jail for Grand Theft Auto because you stole cars.
Yes, ma'am. This is when I was a child. I mean, I was really young when I did this. I came out of jail and totally straightened my life out.
Not according to your mother. No. Listen to me. Not according to your mother. If it's not according to your mother that you straightened your life around, I can't think of who was going to be more of a cheerleader than your mother.
Yeah, but can I say something, Your Honor?
When you came out of prison, where did you go to live?
I went with my mother's friend. Her name is Rosalie.
Never lived with your mother?
No, my mother actually lived with me. She came afterwards. After I was living at that house, she moved in.
You know what? Rosalie is my best friend. And I was, actually, when he first came out, I was renting a room. And the landlord there, when Matthew came over to the house, didn't like the way he looked, knew that he just came out of prison. He told me that I had to leave. So I was already going to move in and be a roommate with my friend. Matthew just happened to go there the day before, but it's not because he was going to move in there before me. He just happened to get there before I did. It was nothing even like that. That is so untrue.
Your Honor, can I say something?
And so let me tell you this. So ever since that day, because we've had a lot of problems through these 4 years, and he'll always tell me, I'll say, Matthew, okay, you know what? It's time for you to leave. You're just not doing the right thing. You got to leave. And he's like, well, I was here first. I don't have to go nowhere. And that's what the problem is. He's gotten into my check account, and what he would do is take checks out of the middle of the checkbooks. I don't have that anymore. And then so I wouldn't notice it, and then I would check a balance, and they'd say, well, you don't have this. And finally, somebody said, why don't you check your checkbook? I looked through, and it would be like 351, 356, and it's just been going on and on and on.
Your Honor, I'm not going to deny this.
Sit down. Sit down.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny this. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to deny that I haven't done bad stuff in the past. This situation that we have right now, though, she did loan me the money. The reason she's saying this is because, number one, she's saying that my sister needs this money for college, okay, for her college fund. But yet, the reason that my sister got mad and didn't have the money because at the same time that this was going on, she went and spent $6,000 on breast implants.
Shh. Listen to me.
Okay, $6,000 on breast implants. The money, if she needed money so bad for college, why would she spend $6,000 for breast implants?
That's not your business. How much did your tattoos cost?
Free. I got them all for free. I got them all for free.
Really?
Yeah, all of them.
Why is that? Why would somebody do that kind of artwork on you for free?
Oh, just friends. It's nothing from shops. It's just friends that do it.
Don't speak yet. Does it look as if I'm having difficulty with him?
Sorry.
Huh? Does it look as if... So far, what I have, Mr. Oakley, is that if I were to believe you, your mother agreed to loan you $300.
Yes, ma'am.
And you took out $1,175.
Yes, ma'am.
So that means that you were a thief for $800. Now you say, in your answer, in addition to that, I paid her back.
Yes, ma'am.
Bird wants to hear about that.
Yeah, I paid her. I pay my mother what I can. Sometimes I have money. Sometimes I don't.
Just a minute. When you say you pay her back, you live in a home with your mother, or you did with your mother and Rosalie?
No, my mother rents a room from me at my house. It's my house. She rents a room from me.
Oh, I can tell you something about that.
Just a second.
So
it's your home?
Yes, it's my home.
How did you get a home?
I rent the house. I rent her and my brother one room.
Just a second. So you rent a house?
Uh-huh.
Not your house. And when did you take over the lease on this house?
I've been in this house now for about 4 months.
And when did your mother tell you that she wasn't going to back up your story about these checks that you wrote?
Well, see, she never told me anything of the sort. My mother, okay, there's a problem because my mom, a while back, okay, she left for a while, probably for about 8 years. She ran off, okay, but it was a thing between my mother and dad. She ran off. My sister feels that my mother owes her something because she ran off, which it wasn't really my mom's fault. My sister will sit there and tell my mother she's stupid, shut up, embarrass her in front of people. And if she's going to sit, I don't believe she took it this far, because if she's going to sit here and say that my sister doesn't talk to her like that, she's lying and she's under oath, because that's what happens.
Mr. Oakley, Mr. Oakley, if you want to discuss, listen to me, sir, if you want to discuss the family dynamics in your home, go on a talk show. Now let's get to your counterclaim, and let's get there quickly. You say that your sister came in when you were having a business meeting and called you a...
thief.
But you are.
Loser. But I didn't steal the money.
No, but you are. No, but you are a thief. You're a convicted thief.
Yeah, past tense.
But that doesn't...
evidently,
sir, you
so
don't
that
get...
means, Judge, that if I did something in the past that I don't have any rights like anybody else to better myself, I'm still going to be considered a thief for something that happened in the past. You know,
no, she didn't say you were a current thief. She said you were a thief, and you were a thief. You were a convicted thief. You were a convicted felon. You served jail time. And according to your sister, and according to what I found, you're an additional thief because you took money out of this account. Even if I believed your story, which I don't, you took money out of the account in an unauthorized fashion because you were given permission for 3 and you took 12. So that makes you a thief. So your counterclaim was dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,175. Thank you very much. Be happy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't have to say a word. She just saw it the way it was. Matt's a thief.
I don't know, maybe I need to get a job, a real job or something, start making some money, I don't know.
Actually, he just got a job and he's worked 7 days in a row, so we're really proud of him right now.
I tried, try to get a counterclaim, try to get a little bit of extra out of it, but it just didn't work.
I worked for it, It's my money. I want my money. I don't want someone taking what I work for. If he's not going to have a job, I don't take his money.
22-year-old business owner William Joe Schwartfeger is suing his ex-girlfriend's father, truck driver Warren Day, for a false restraining order. Warren says he was trying to keep William away from his 16-year-old daughter, and he is countersuing for his legal fees.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Now, this is case number 70 on the calendar in the matter of Schwartfeger versus Day. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Schwartfeger?
That's correct.
How old are you, sir?
22.
Bert, I want you to pay careful attention. We're going to go over this scorecard so that you know who the players are in this case.
Gotcha.
Because I have a feeling it's going to be interesting. Who is this young lady?
That is my girlfriend, Sarah Buckley.
What does she have to do with this case?
She is a witness to the harassment, the vandalism to my vehicle, and she's also known the defendant and his daughters for about 5 to 6 years.
How long have you been his girlfriend?
Since November.
So a short-term girlfriend.
Yes.
Mr. Day, these are your 2 daughters.
That's correct.
Your name is?
Samantha.
How old are you, Samantha?
17.
And your name?
Kathleen.
How old are you, Kathleen?
22.
Kathleen, why don't you stand up next to your dad for a minute? Because we're going to get this whole scenario down here. Kathleen, you used to be his girlfriend, is that right?
Yes.
For how long were you his girlfriend?
Almost 4 years.
You have children with him?
2.
How old are your 2 children?
One just turned 3 and one's about 18 months.
Did you live together for a period of time?
Yeah.
For how long?
About 3 of those 4 years.
And how old were you when you started to live with him?
18.
Now you can sit down.
Thank you.
I may come back to you, but right now you can sit. This is what your lawsuit's about, William. According to you, you were being a good Samaritan. And at some point, you took in Mr. Day's younger daughter.
That's correct.
Into your home because you say she was having some trouble with her dad.
Both parents, Your Honor.
Both parents?
Yes.
Now, at the time that you took her into your house, were you still living with Kathleen?
No, I wasn't.
So Kathleen wasn't living with you anymore with your 2 children. She had left you. You had parted ways.
Right.
But Samantha came to live with you, and at that time, Samantha was 16.
That's right.
Mr. Day didn't like that.
Not at all, ma'am.
You didn't like what happened with your first daughter?
That's correct.
And you for sure didn't like what happened with your second daughter?
That's very correct.
So what did you do, Mr. Day?
Well, Mr. Schwartfeger hit Samantha in the mouth.
After she was living with him?
Yes.
Okay, let's stop there for a moment. What date did your daughter leave your home?
April 13th.
Of 2003?
Yes. It wasn't my home. She was still with her mother at that time.
You and her mother are separated?
Yes.
In any event, this is what your lawsuit is about, William. The lawsuit says that Mr. Day filed false charges against you for child endangerment, protective orders, causing you to have to hire an attorney, legal fees, and everything that he said about you was false, and you want to be compensated to the tune of $1,954.
That's correct.
Mr. Day, just for good measure, says, well, he wants some money too because you caused him to lose work and attorney's fees because he had to hire an attorney in order to get certain orders reinstated. He wants some money. I think most of what he wants is satisfaction.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, William, tell me about when Kathleen left your house with your 2 children.
We were living together until December of 2002, I believe.
And how old were your children at that point?
The one was 3 months, and the other one was a little over 2 years old. Or, I'm sorry, she had not turned 2 yet.
And why did she leave?
We were having problems in our relationship. We've had an on and off relationship for the last 4.5 to 5 years, so.
It was during the odd periods that you had these children?
Yeah.
Was it an amicable breakup?
Pretty much.
And you continue to see the children?
Yes, on a regular basis.
And you continue to support the children?
That's right. I pay child support every week.
For both children?
That's right.
Okay. And where did Kathleen go when she left?
Actually, she stayed in the apartment that we shared.
And you left?
That's right.
So far, is that correct, Kathleen?
No.
Well, why don't you come up here and tell me what happened? Because this is all very important as far as Mr. Day's state of mind when he filed his complaints. When did you and William separate?
December of 2002.
Under what circumstances?
He was sleeping with my sister.
And how did you find that out, Kathleen?
I found notes.
Did you keep the notes?
My mom has them right now.
You get along with your mother?
Yeah.
Should have brought the notes to court.
I know, she won't give them to me. She said it's an embarrassment to our children.
What did the notes say? First of all, who wrote the notes?
He did.
Remember what they said?
It said Samantha down the side. It said sexy, amazing, mind-blowing, awesome, naughty, terrific, hot, and a dream come true.
Did you confront William with the note?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said they wrote it as a joke, together.
And when was that?
About 2 weeks before Christmas, December 2002.
You remember that conversation, William?
Yes, I do.
So you told Kathleen, the mother of your two children, that the note that you wrote that talked about sexy, naughty, etc., with regard to her sister, her 16-year-old sister, were just joking around.
Well, I write a lot of poetry. And
joking around.
Yeah.
That's what you told her.
Yeah, I said we wrote it together. Yes.
Oh. Shh, please. You left.
I left for the day, but I stayed in the apartment. I asked him to leave.
And did he leave?
He left after a few days.
And that was in December?
That's correct.
When did Samantha come to live with you, sir?
In April of 2003.
And where were you living at the time?
I just got an apartment, and I had an extra bedroom, so I figured, you know.
How did Samantha know that you had an extra bedroom?
Well, we stayed in contact. Kathleen and I weren't talking at the time, so I used Samantha as a mediator to, you know, see my children and to make sure that they were doing okay.
You said you saw your children regularly, so what do you mean you needed a mediator?
Well, at first, the visitation wasn't every weekend like it is now. Like I said, Kathleen and I weren't on speaking terms at that time.
You weren't on speaking terms because she believed that you were having intimate relations with a 16-year-old sister. That a fair statement?
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. William Joe Schwartfager says his ex-girlfriend's father, Warren Day, owes for attorney fees and harassment. Warren says after William broke up with Kathleen, he had an affair with her 16-year-old sister.
Now tell me what Mr. Day did with regard to his 16-year-old daughter moving in with you.
Nothing at first. Samantha and Mr. Day weren't on speaking terms when it first happened.
She was living with her mother.
That's right. And she was having problems with her mother. She was, you know, living in and out of her friend's house, you know, running away from her house, not going to school, stuff like that.
Between December and April, did you see Samantha?
We met up a couple times.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
How many times would you estimate you saw Samantha?
About once a week, maybe.
Could it have been twice a week?
It wasn't like everyday basis that she was over at where I was at, but...
I didn't say every day, William. You said once a week. And what I said to you is, could it have been twice a week?
It might have been a couple weeks that she came over more than once, yes.
And when she would come over, would she stay for an hour or two?
She'd stay for a couple hours.
And what would you do when she came over?
We'd hang out with the kids, talk about when the next time I get to see them, you know, where we were going to meet to get the kids and everything else, so...
When did Mr. Day file the first of his protective orders?
In July.
You have a copy of it?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
This paper is also the ruling after the
Just
case.
a second. So he filed a protective order indicating that in July you hit Samantha in the mouth.
That's right.
July 2003, Samantha. Were you living with William at the time?
Yes.
Did he hit you in the mouth?
Yes.
Under what circumstances?
I came home and him and his friends had been drinking and we got into an argument. At that time, we went into the bedroom. He took me into the bedroom. His friends stayed in the other room and one thing led to another. He actually picked me up, threw me into the table, and that's how I busted my lip open.
So he didn't hit you in the mouth. He picked you up and threw you into a table, which caused you to hurt your lip. And what did you do in July when he did that to you?
Well, we kept fighting. He actually left. I called my friends to come get me because he took my keys and threw them in the dumpster. And he came back and he was being very rude to my friends, and then I left. And then 2 days later, I think, is when they actually filed the protection order.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living with Joe, but I was staying with my friend Stephanie after we got in an argument.
So you were living with him?
Yes.
What kind of an apartment did he have?
It was a 2-bedroom apartment.
Who else lived there?
Just me and him.
Did you have your own bedroom?
No.
Did you share the bedroom with him?
Yes.
For how long?
Ever since we moved in. We actually got the apartment together. He didn't have it when we're together.
You went to court in August of 2003. Do you remember going to court in August of 2003? Did the judge ask you any questions?
Yes.
Why did you lie to the judge?
Because I thought that I was in love and I was scared. He told me what to say and I said what he said to say.
Had you gone back to him at the time?
We were on a restraining order, so we couldn't see each other, but yeah, we were still together.
Were you speaking to him?
Not during the protection order.
Did you tell your father that you were going to not tell the truth when the judge asked you questions?
Yes.
What did he say?
Not much. He told me I better tell the truth.
Is that right, sir?
That is correct, ma'am.
When your 16-year-old daughter got to court, you didn't tell the truth. Is that right?
That's correct.
And this, William, is what you're really suing over, this case that was dismissed.
Yeah, that's part of the lawsuit, yes.
Tell me what the other part is.
In February, he filed another protective order against me. Samantha had moved out in late October, and I didn't understand why he was...
So she came back to you after this original protective order, and she moved out again in late October?
That's right. She moved back into my house probably about a month after the case, and then she quit her job, stopped going to school, and those were, I told her if she was going to live with me, she had to keep her job, go to school. And then later on, my car got vandalized.
Who do you think vandalized your car, sir?
Samantha. We do have audio tapes that were gone over by the county attorney.
Don't tell me what audio tapes were gone over by anybody else, sir. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Do you have any witness to Samantha vandalizing your car?
Samantha's older sister, Kathleen, she was the one that actually told me that it was Samantha that vandalized my car.
No.
What did you say to him?
I said it wasn't my brother, and it wasn't my sister.
Well, I don't know.
There's a lot of people that hate you, so.
Yeah. I can think of 3 right there. Maybe 4. William, I'm going to tell you a word that you probably don't know. Interestingly enough, Officer Byrd knows this word, because when I say the word, he's going to understand, as will a lot of other people, because I'm going to explain the word to you. The word, William, is chutzpah. Do you know what chutzpah means, Byrd?
Sure.
Chutzpah means nerve. You got a lot of nerve to put on a suit and tie, bring your girlfriend into a court to sue this man after you made 2 babies with one of his children irresponsibly. Now, you're only partially responsible for that, but you're half responsible for that. And then his daughter finds out that you're messing around with her 16-year-old sister, and she leaves you. Or you leave. She tells you to leave. And then you invite her 16-year-old sister to move into your house, the 2 sisters, like you live in Utah. And then you have the chutzpah to sue him as a parent for getting angry with you because his daughter tells him, not only am I sleeping with him, but he picked me up, he got angry when he was drinking, threw me against the table, and split my lip. You have a daughter, sir?
Yes, I got 2 daughters.
All right. You have 2 daughters?
3.
3?
Yes.
Who's the 3rd?
My oldest daughter, she's 7, but she's not by the day.
And how old are you, 22?
That's right.
You better get a lock for it.
That's already been fixed, though.
William, I don't want to look at you for another second. Your case is dismissed. Mr. Day, have you gotten the satisfaction that you wanted?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't need a counterclaim, do you?
No, I don't really know.
Very good. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's been hard. It's been hard for me not to do something else besides go to court on it. It really has.
I was just trying to get the attorney bills that Mr. Day has racked up on my behalf, cleared up.
This man has been like a dingleberry on my butt.
It didn't destroy any credibility. It's another day.
He doesn't think about other people's feelings, how he hurt me, how he hurt her, and how he's probably going to hurt Sarah, too.
She was like a little sister to me the whole time.
You can talk the panties off a nun.
The girl that's with him right now, Sarah Buckley,
is my best friend.
And used to live in my house as my 3rd, adopted daughter.
So he's on the 3rd one now.
Yeah.
We're actually a lot closer than we were, and we just really hate him now.
Everybody makes mistakes. Yeah, this is her freebie. If she does it again, then it's done.
And now the next case. And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Romero versus Clemens. Step forward, please.
Nurse Penny Romero is suing her ex-boyfriend's current wife, homemaker Connie Clemens, for selling a car belonging to her daughter.
Mrs. Romero, the defendant is your former husband's wife. Is that right?
It is his wife. He is not my ex-husband.
He is the father of your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were never married.
Correct.
This is his wife.
Yes.
And that's your daughter?
Yes, that's my daughter.
So this is your complaint. Where's the husband? You can stand up. Your complaint alleges that in 2001, you put down a down payment for a car for your daughter.
Yes.
And it was about $500. And at some point, she went to live with her father and his wife. When was that?
In 2002.
And she took the car with her.
Yes.
At the time she moved in with her father, she was how old?
17.
The car was sold or traded in, according to them, because your daughter got a new car. Did you get a new car?
Yes, I did.
While you were living with your father?
No, I got it this December. I was living on my own.
Okay. As a matter of fact, I have a few questions for you, so you can stand next to your mother. You want the money back that you put into the car?
Yes.
Okay. So this is going to be very fast. It's not going to be long. It's not very complicated. When you moved out of your mother's house, you took the car with you?
She wouldn't let me take it when I moved out, but then I called her and I said, this is the car I have. It's a pile of crap. I need that car back. And she said, okay, that's fine. She told me where it was, and Connie and my dad said we needed to pay off the money that was owed on it still. So they went in and paid off what was owed. They traded in my car, the car that I was driving at the time.
Just 1 second. So your mother first said that you couldn't have the car. She wouldn't let you take it with you. Is that right? Even though it had been a gift?
Yes.
Then you called and asked her whether or not you could please have it, and she said, well, I left it at somebody's garage or somebody's lot or whatever. And your father and his wife went in and paid off the rest of what was owed on the car.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
How much was that?
Oh, I don't know what they paid.
How much
in
was
cash.
that?
We traded her old car for it that we bought her because her mom wouldn't let her use that car.
So when you moved in with your father, they bought you a used car to get around in, but it wasn't a good one? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
And then they traded that one in and
Yeah.
paid off the one that your mother had bought for you.
Yes.
Now you had the use of a better car.
Yes.
Excuse me,
And
Your
you
Honor.
don't speak. Now, when you left your father's house, did you take the car with you?
Yeah.
And what happened to the car?
The heater broke in it, and it was winter, and the hood didn't latch, and the windows didn't seal, and the roof was falling off, and so I needed to get a new car.
And did you tell that to your father?
Yeah.
And what did you do? Did you trade it in?
No, I wasn't planning on doing anything with that car. That I was just going to buy this new car, and so I just left the car at their house.
And what did you do with the car?
We put it up for sale.
Okay. And how much did you sell it for?
$250.
Tell me your first name.
Susie.
Susie, you left the old car at their house.
Yeah.
What did you believe they were going to do with the car?
I didn't know anything. We were deciding if we were going to try and sell it and split the money. There was never anything decided.
Now, when they told you that they sold the car, had you known that they were...
I didn't know until right now that the car was even sold.
Okay, so the car is sold. Who did you sell the car to?
Just a family up in Grand Ron.
And what year car was this?
In 86.
So they got $250. Do you want the $250 back? It was your car.
It's not really important to me.
Right. I assumed not. You lived there and they sort of bought you one, traded in one to get the other one. Now, my question, Ms. Romero, what makes you think you're entitled to $1,100 from these people?
Because when we originally bought the car, I went with Susie, we picked it out, I put the down payment on it, I made payments on it until she got to work. The agreement was we tried to get her a new car financed, we were going to sell the old car and split it, or either we were going to fix it for my 16-year-old son to drive.
You're not entitled to your money back. You made your daughter a gift. She could do whatever she wanted with the car. There's no strings attached to a gift. You bought your daughter a car. You bought it for her in 2001. That's 3 years ago. She's been through 2 cars since. I mean, get a life. Your case is dismissed.
I have a life.
Thank you.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
I had a feeling it would go like this because it was a gift for...
I think the ruling was correct.
I don't care either way. I have a car, and that's all that I was looking for, was having a car that ran.
There's just always something that she brings us to court back and forth on.
This is how it's been forever.
We've been in a custody battle for over 3 years with the 2 children.
My parents are usually doing something. I mean, we're usually in court over something.
Yeah, it's ongoing, and I wish it would stop.
This is it. This is it. We're done now.
It's fine. We're just going to keep on going.
24-year-old copyright analyst Lydia Velasquez is suing her former friend, 22-year-old car salesman Shannon Sieber, for his share of a trip to Spain. Shannon claims Lydia offered to pay.
This is case number 101 on the calendar in the matter of Velasquez versus Sieber. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Ms. Velasquez, Mr. Sieber was a friend of yours, and you claim that he owes you for some expenses from a trip to Spain that you took with him.
That's correct.
Or that he took with you. Mr. Sieber says there was never any agreement to pay you back any of the money you expended on his behalf, while acknowledging that you did spend money on him for plane tickets and some hotel expenses. Is that right, Mr. Sieber?
That's correct.
Okay. So let me turn to you first. I'd like you to tell me something about yourself.
Okay. I'm from Manassas, Virginia. I met Lydia in New York.
I didn't ask you where you met her. I asked you something about yourself.
Something about myself.
Yeah. First, why don't you tell me how old you are?
I'm 22 years old.
And what do you do for a living?
I sell cars.
And how long have you been selling cars?
For about 8 months now.
Is that what you want to be, a car salesman when you grow up?
No, but it pays well.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Own my own business.
What kind of business?
Maybe a daycare.
A daycare?
Yeah.
You like children?
Love children.
Why do you think that you have what it takes to guide young children into maturity? Stand up straight, because the first thing you have to know is that you don't have to lean on anything.
Yes.
A table, a woman, anything. So what I want you to tell me, Mr. Sieber, is, since your life's ambition is to own a daycare.
Yeah.
Yes, try yes.
Yes.
That's the first thing you have to do with children, teach them how to speak. And since that is probably one of the most laudable professions to guide children, I want you to explain to me what personality traits you believe you have that would qualify you to guide the future of America. I want you to think about that, Mr. Fastmouth, before you answer my question. Because I want you to think of what it is. Because as you see from this little repartee that we're having between us, I can swallow you up alive. We understand each other?
Oh, we understand each other.
Very good. So I want you to think very carefully, Smarty Mouth, why you believe that you can, with your talents and what those talents and moral qualities that you have are, to guide the children who are the future of America.
Because I'm consistent and committed.
Committed to what?
Committed to be able to learn whatever I have to learn to be able to teach children.
Okay. Now let's talk about your moral qualifications. You sell cars?
Yes.
Did you ever exaggerate to somebody when you sold them a car?
No.
Never.
No.
So when you're negotiating with somebody, you're always right up front. When you say, listen, my manager won't let me take a penny less than for this car, and I'm going to give up most of my commission so that you can have this car, because I want you to have this car.
Of course.
That's totally honest.
Oh, yeah.
Never said anything that wasn't true.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I want you to do this for me, Mr. Sieber. When you open up your daycare center,
yes, ma'am.
Let me know where it is.
Okay.
When did you take this trip with Miss Velasquez?
We took it March 31st.
And how long did you go for?
6 days.
Who went, Mr. Sieber?
Myself and Lydia.
Just the two of you?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume, Miss Velasquez, from reading your papers, that you had a little bit of a crush on him.
I did.
Now, what makes you think, Mr. Sieber, that even though Miss Velasquez had a crush on you, she was going to pay for your tickets?
Well, when I got the car early in February, and she asked me to take the trip with her, I told her that I would take the trip, and she said that she would cover the flight expense if I would go with her. When we got over there, the first night that we were there, advances were made, and I told her I wasn't looking for anything further. And after that happened, we got back to Northern Virginia. I started getting calls. She wanted money. So, because the advances were denied, she decided she wanted payment.
Why did you go with her, Mr. Sieber?
Because I liked her as a friend.
Did you tell her that?
Yes.
Well, tell me what you said to her.
Exactly that.
Let me hear.
I like you as a friend.
When did you tell her that?
Many times in New York when I was with her, over the phone.
When she called and asked you to go to Europe with her, did she say why she wanted you to go to Europe with her?
No.
All right, now I'll hear you, Miss Velasquez.
Thank you.
When did you call him?
I didn't call him, actually. He had called me. We initially met, and we went on a really nice romantic first date. We kept in touch. My sister got sick. He was calling to ask me about her. And through the course of the conversation, towards the end of the conversation, I had told him about a trip that I was planning for myself. I thought planning a trip for myself and going to Spain was really what I wanted to do. Then Shannon had called me. He's very charming on the phone, and he expressed his interest in coming with me.
No, just not expressing it. What did he say, if you remember?
He said, would you mind if I came with you? And I said, yeah, no, that's great. I was excited about the fact that he wanted to go with me on a trip.
Now let's get to the tickets.
Sure. He had said if you can find a ticket for around $400, that he'd go ahead and, pay me for that. So the next day, I did a vigorous search. I'm pretty good at the internet, and I found tickets. I had called him up, and I told him how much the ticket was going to be. It was around $444, and he had said, that's fine. And I said, well, I already put the hotels, so you can just pay me half for the hotels. We can split that, and then just pay me back for the flight. And he said that he would pay me back the full amount. When we got to Spain, he paid me $300 in cash, and he...
Oh, Mr. Sieber, how come you gave her $300 in cash, sir?
Oh, that was for the hotel.
You gave her $300 and said...
And he said, on April 18th, I will send you the remaining balance. So I had thought that he was going to pay me once he got back home. We had a good time. I realized, though, when we got there, his attitude towards me changed. Before that, the phone conversations were great. He was saying, oh, you're so cute, and I'm listening to your CD right now because I sing or whatnot, and you're making me smile and all this charming baloney. And I fell for it. I fell for it like I would. But when we got there, though, his attitude changed towards me. He all of a sudden was cold, distant, and it seemed like I was irritating to him.
The bloom was off the road.
It was.
Okay, fine.
It fell down and someone squished it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Lydia Velasquez says former friend Shannon Sieber owes for a trip to Spain. Shannon claims Lydia is upset that he only wants to be friends.
All right. $444 was the plane ticket, is that right?
Correct.
And then there was some expenses for the hotel.
Correct, because we were there for 5 days and 4 nights.
And you are asking for $350, which is less than the cost of the ticket, so your $300, sir, paid portion of the plane ticket. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Look at that. You paid part of the plane ticket and you didn't even know it.
That's great.
Mr. Sieber, you look like a sweet young man. You're 22 years old, so I will attribute some of what you say to me today as being words from somebody who is not yet fully cooked. Just starting to shave and just starting to feel yourself. So I want you to understand something. You're supposed to have a reasonable moral compass. You're not supposed to toy with somebody else's affections. And I think that you're a smart aleck enough to know that by going to Spain with her, you were toying with her affections. You're not supposed to do that. It's unkind. And should you find yourself at the other end of this affection stick at some point in your life, I guarantee you won't like it. But I've been around long enough, Mr. Sieber, to know that what goes around comes around. And it may not come around today, it may not come around tomorrow. But if you're not nice to people, eventually it's going to come back and bite you in the behind. We understand each other?
Clearly.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $350. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's just sad when friends have to start suing each other.
I'm just happy that I'm going to actually get my money back.
There was never a relationship to begin with. It was all made up in our mind.
I might have been misled by him.
It was made very clear before we left it was what it was. There's going to be nothing more.
Not the person that I thought he was.
She's a nice lady.
He was just being rude.
We were only friends, and that's all it would ever be.
We're not friends anymore.
Plaintiff Darlene Brown is suing anger management counselor Thomas Wilson for a refund of his fee. Darlene says her son was kicked out of class.
Now this is case number 133 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Wilson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Brown, I assume that this gentleman here is your son. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
the son who was directed by a court to take anger management classes.
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that that was as a result of some sort of a domestic dispute?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wilson runs the anger management program, and your complaint alleges that you paid for part of a course that your son did not take because Mr. Wilson wouldn't let him take it. And Mr. Wilson owes you $200. Mr. Wilson says that your son was disruptive in the class, that he failed to follow the rules, and that he does not refund money. Pretty much is what you're saying. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Step up, please. Mr. Fugit, when were you directed to take an anger management program?
I don't recall the specific date.
Mrs. Brown, do you?
Yes, ma'am. It was on 4/18/03.
And that was a result of a conviction for domestic violence?
Yes, I was convicted of a domestic violence charge.
Was there any jail time involved?
Yes, I believe there was.
What do you mean you believe?
I don't recall how long I spent in jail for that. I spent some time and I bonded out. I went to court and hired a lawyer, and I was convicted of a domestic violence charge.
And then did you go back to jail?
No, ma'am, I didn't. I was court ordered to go to a doctor and do a psychological evaluation, which I did, and I was directed to do a 32-hour combination class of anger management, 16 hours, and then a 16-hour domestic violence class, and that's what I attempted to do.
Well, so what happened?
Well, I attended the first 16-hour class.
Which was what?
16 hours of anger management.
Okay. So you attended the first half of the two-part series. Second part you didn't attend?
I showed up for the first session of the second part of the series, Your Honor.
And what happened?
There was 4 or 5 of us, and we discussed what was going to be happening, and they showed a video where the husband comes home from work drinking, the wife's there, she wants to get out, go to her friends, she wants to go bowling, he's saying no, he doesn't like her friends, and he's being very verbally abusive to her and physically intimidating, and he slams her up against the drywall, and he draws back his hand like he's going to hit her, and they stop the program. And the instructor, Rick, asked us to please participate and comment on what it is that we saw. And 2 people that were in the class made their comments to it. It came to me. I told the instructor, Rick, that I found the class to be offensive, and I didn't see why I had to sit there and be subjected to that type of domestic violence inside of the class.
Well, you were convicted of domestic violence.
I was convicted of domestic violence, but I'm not a wife batterer. It was under a different circumstance.
You didn't think that you were that kind of a batterer, so why should you be forced to watch that film? Is that really what you were saying? I'm trying to understand. The film wasn't offensive. The film is designed to be instructive.
Correct.
Now, if you found the husband's behavior offensive, that's a different story. I find the man's behavior offensive. So which one was it?
The instructor asked me to participate in the class, and he asked me what I thought of the film. And I just primarily told him that I found the behavior of the man in the film to be offensive. And
I'm not sure that that's what, I mean, that's not. I think that you're playing with me now, Jason, because if you said to the instructor, I found that the man's behavior was offensive, that's the right answer. So I'm not sure that that's what happened.
Okay.
Anyway, you were asked to leave.
Yes, I was.
So your mother paid for the class?
Yes, ma'am.
He was asked to leave the second class. Is that the $200 you want back?
Yes, ma'am.
And?
He was asked to leave, and we sent a notice to the probation officer indicating that he was uncooperative, he didn't show any empathy, so sometime later he was reordered.
He was reordered to go back to the program?
To go back to our program.
Okay.
And we agreed to take him back, but the condition was that he would have to repeat the anger management portion of the class.
Was there any reason you wanted him to restart the whole program?
Because he didn't show any real evidence that he'd learned anything from the first phase of treatment.
Okay. I would like to see the court order.
This is the original court order.
I want to see the court order. This order was dated April 17, 2003.
Yes, ma'am.
The judge directed your son to complete 32 hours of domestic violence education.
Yes, ma'am.
It was to enroll within 30 days and then promptly complete 32 hours of domestic violence education.
Yes, ma'am.
You did not do that. You enrolled, but you did not promptly complete.
That's what the probation violation was for, and then
Good! Then you belong to jail. If that's what the order was, you see, I always had a problem when you got a third chance. As a sitting judge, I believe that we send the wrong message to people when they are convicted of a crime, as he was, and given an opportunity to remain at liberty under certain conditions, and then if you do not comply with the conditions, you're given another chance, which is really what happened. If I were the judge in that case, his behind would have been behind bars, and he would have been resentenced. Doesn't get a chance to say, I'm a victim, I don't belong in this place, I don't belong watching this domestic violence film, it offends me. I don't give a rat's behind whether it offends your son or not, madam. I don't.
May I say something?
I'm going to finish.
Okay.
He did not promptly complete 32 hours because he didn't like the first movie.
And he was asked to leave.
He was disruptive to the program. He doesn't have an option. That's part of anger management. Don't you understand? That's part of the drill.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Arlene Brown says anger management counselor Thomas Wilson owes for a refund of his fee. Thomas says Darlene's son was uncooperative, so he was kicked out of the class.
Madam, you have to stop making excuses for your son. It's part of the drill. He doesn't get to choose his punishment. I don't care if they showed movies of somebody shoveling crap into a fan. And he found it offensive. That's what he does. And then when he's court ordered to go back to the program, what you're saying is, well, he completed the first 16 hours. He shouldn't have to complete that first 16 hours again. He should be able to go for the second 16 hours, right?
The court order says he just has to complete 16 hours of domestic violence.
Let me see it.
The judge found that I completed the first 16 hours.
Let me see it.
When I went back to court.
Let me see it.
I also have audio.
Okay, in August we went back, and right here it says you were to enroll in and then promptly complete the remaining 16 hours of domestic violence. That is true. Did you get a copy of this?
I did, Your Honor.
So? I mean, I wouldn't have done it.
I disagreed with the court, Your Honor. The
you
court...
can't. Unfortunately, Mr. Wilson, I disagree with the court, too. You can't.
Okay.
I would have put his behind in jail, because one of the problems with domestic violence is, and anger management is, you have to show that you can control yourself well enough to do certain things even if you don't like them. You don't like your wife, you don't like her behavior. This was your wife, wasn't it? This woman that you're supposed to stay away from, Jessica?
That's my ex-wife.
Oh, your ex-wife.
That's not what I was convicted of. That was.
Well, have no contact with her. You mean they just picked her name out of a hat?
That was because of a divorce and a similar circumstance.
You mean they just picked Jessica's name out of a hat to put on this order twice? 2 times. They said, stay away from Jessica.
Maybe I didn't understand the question, Your Honor.
Well, did you commit domestic violence against anybody else except Jessica?
Yeah, that was the charge.
Somebody else or Jessica?
It wasn't against Jessica, Your Honor.
Who was it against?
I'm not exactly sure. I was having problems, and she went over to her brother's. I went over there. I had my infant son in my hand, and I was trying to talk to my wife. And I walked around to the front of the house, and her 2 brothers and her sister was pulling my child out of my arms.
Listen to me. I'm not getting into that. Were you convicted after a jury trial, or did you plead guilty?
I had hired a lawyer, and it was...
Listen, I asked you one question.
I was convicted of a domestic violence charge. It did not
Just a second.
my wife.
I asked you a simple question, and you're not listening to me, which is the problem that you have. I said, were you convicted after a jury trial, or did you plead guilty? Is that a hard question, Bird?
No.
Were you convicted after a jury trial, or did you plead guilty?
I guess I pled guilty to it.
Yes. Mr. Wilson, this is your problem, sir. You disagreed with the court order. I do, too. But we live in a country that is ruled by law. And while I would have made him take the course all over again, the court gave him a break and said he only had to complete 16 hours of the domestic violence portion of the program. What happened to you after August when you didn't complete the program?
I went back and reported to my probation officer, and there was conflict. Earlier, and the probation officer said that there was obviously a problem between me and Mr. Wilson, but the VA wasn't going to violate my probation again under circumstances. I didn't have the money to enroll into another class to complete the class, so it's actually never been finished.
What a travesty. I mean, it's a joke. You're ordered to complete a program. You don't complete the program. You're given another opportunity, because it doesn't say to complete 16 hours in his program. It says completed the other 16 hours. So in August of 2003, you were given a second chance, or a third chance, to be at liberty. And according to you, since August of 2003, you didn't have the money that was necessary to complete 16 hours of domestic violence classes. Is that what you're telling me?
It was already paid to Mr. Wilson.
I don't care. Are you telling me that you didn't have the money to comply with the court order? Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you.
In a year and a half? You're a liar. In any event, you owe him $200. You can't second-guess the court. He would have found himself telephoning his mother once a week from the jail cell if it was up to me, but it's not. It's unfortunate that people laugh at the court system because they don't make orders that they are prepared to stick to. Anyway, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. That's all. Out.
Thank you. Parties are excused. You may step out.
He should have followed through with what he was supposed to do.
The program is designed for a spouse batterer, and that's not what I was charged with, the domestic violence.
He was disruptive in my class. He didn't follow the rules.
People are individuals.
He's gone through a lot, and he's up there now.
Next case.
All parties in the matter of Pounders versus Mansour. Step forward, please.
28-year-old student Sarah Pounders is suing her former friends, Tamara and Michelle Mansour, for the unpaid balance on a Saturn SL1. The couple claims Sarah forgave the debt.
Miss Pounders, you violated one of my first rules of life. You sold a used car to friends. Right?
Well, frenemies, yes.
What did she say?
Frenemies.
Frenemies?
Yeah, I was kind of making a joke. You know how friend and enemies, the word together is frenemies.
Only Bird makes jokes here. Okay, when did you sell them the car?
On March 4th of this 2004.
What kind of a car was it?
A 1997 SL1 Saturn.
Car that you liked?
Yes.
Thought it was a good deal?
The deal was good. It worked out good because she would let us make payments, and we were in the process of buying a house, so it worked out really good.
So it was a good deal?
Yes.
So why didn't you finish making the payments?
Because Oliver and me used to be...
That's Oliver.
Correct. We used to be really good friends, best friends for a while, and I used to live in the same apartment complex as Sarah. They ended up being friends, they were dating for a while, and then they broke up. And then in between, when I saw Sarah on and off, she would always say, oh, I miss Oliver, I miss Oliver. One day, me and my wife were talking, we really needed to get a second car, and so we coincidentally came home and saw a for sale sign on Sarah's car. And I went and talked to her. Oliver was with me that day when I went to see her, so she was excited to see him.
Get to the point. You bought the car.
Well, it leads up to it because it's hard to... When we got home, there was a note on our door from Sarah saying that I'll take $200 down and I'll take $200 a month. You don't have to pay it on the first. If there's a problem with the car, you could take it off the payments, and that was it.
Show me the note.
I don't have the note on me, but I don't think she denied the fact that she wrote it.
Yeah, I read a note, something like
And
that.
what was said in the note? Let's see if we agree what the note said. That she would take $3,600.
Yes.
Take payments of $200 a month.
Certainly.
That you didn't have to make the payments on the first of the month.
Right.
And that if there was something that went wrong with the car, they could deduct that from the money.
Right.
That was an idiotic thing to say.
I know, I agree.
But you agree that you wrote it.
Yes.
What else did the note say?
That was the most important part. The rest was just...
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So you decided to buy the car.
Yeah.
Now I got the backstory. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Get on with it. Why did you stop making payments on the car?
Later on, me and Sarah were talking on the phone, and she said, oh, I'm so happy that you hooked me up with Oliver that I'm not worried about it. You can just keep the car. Word for word.
And you said, don't be ridiculous. We had an arrangement. I'm glad that you and my friend Oliver are back together again, and I wouldn't think of taking advantage of our friendship like that. Of course I'm going to continue to make payments. At what point in the conversation did you say that, sir?
I didn't say that, because Sarah doesn't need to worry about money. She's a trust fund baby.
Maybe that's why you think that you didn't have to pay her.
I didn't have to pay her because she said that.
Did you say that to him?
I absolutely did not.
Absolutely not. If she wanted to give you the car, she would have given you the car. I don't believe you.
Well,
I don't believe you.
her,
And you
too.
want to know something? If I don't believe you, then you're a liar.
Well, I'm
Because it
not
doesn't
lying.
make... Oh, yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No.
And not only that, but you're
You
not
don't know Sarah
honorable.
either.
Not only that, but you're not honorable. What do you want to show me?
I am honorable because after
He's
that
on
I
probation
continued
for
to pay for
breaking into a car and attempting to steal it. And
Hey.
oh, I thought you motioned for me. Sorry. Sorry.
I don't do much around here. Let me do that.
Can I make a comment? Mm-hmm. He took the title out himself, filled it all out, and told me, this is what you do, you sign here. I know all about selling cars, Betty, it's all right, you can trust me, you're my buddy. And he told me that if I were to sign, I would still be the legal owner of the car. He would just have to do that to insure the car. And that's why I signed it, because I trusted him as my friend.
He's a slick liar, and he signed this bill of sale? Did you sign this bill of sale?
Yes. Sarah's a habitual liar herself. She followed the Grateful Dead concert
Is she
for
a
2
felon?
years.
Is she
No,
a convicted felon?
but she's an acid
That's
person.
just it. Is she a convicted felon?
No, but she does acid.
When you went, listen to me, when you were arrested by the police and you appeared before the court for the first time, did you enter a plea? I'm speaking to you.
I refuse to answer that question.
Oh, God, listen to me. Don't sell anything to friends. You always wind up the short end of the stick, especially when you're dealing with people who have no moral fiber at all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,900. Thank you.
She thought that she wanted to get all the money up front because her mom threatened to take her trust fund away from her.
No, that's not true.
I don't ever want to speak to her again. She's just a habitual liar. I hope she got what she wanted today.
Hammer did it to himself because it wasn't my choice to make Oliver not his friend.
But I'm not a liar. I'm not a habitual liar. Even after she said that, I still continued to make payments on the car.
The habitual lies, it was just too much to take.
Utico versus Corona. Step forward.
Accountant Michelle Utico is suing her ex-boyfriend, plumber Stephen Corona, for ramming her Toyota 4Runner with his truck. Stephen claims Michelle is making up a story.
Miss Utico, this gentleman used to be your boyfriend, and according to your complaint, he got angry with you one evening and he intentionally damaged your truck. And Mr. Corona says that while he was angry that evening, he didn't do anything to your car, right?
That's correct.
Tell me when Mr. Corona damaged your car.
That evening, after I dropped him off at home.
What evening?
May 21st a.m., May 20th, midnight.
And where had you been?
We were first at my house, and we got into an argument, and then I dropped him off at his house.
What'd you get into an argument about?
Just general things, what couples normally get in arguments about. I mean,
I usually get into an argument with my husband about how many pairs of shoes I bring home.
Okay.
So what were you arguing about?
You know, I don't recall what the argument was about, but we got into one, and I dropped him off at home like he wanted to go. He wanted to leave, so I took him home.
What time?
It's probably about 10 or 11 at night.
And where did you go when you dropped him off?
I went over to his house.
What's his name?
This is my friend Frank. And I was there with a couple of friends. We were sitting on the front porch, and then that's when he showed up.
And Mr. Corona, you acknowledged that you came looking for her.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what happened when he came looking for you?
Well, he had asked for me to get into my truck and go home, to let's go home.
When he told you to get into your truck and let's go home, was he in his car or out of his car?
He was out of his car at the time. He parked next to my car on the street, and he got off of his car and pretty much demanding for me to leave. And with the look in his eyes pretty much looked violent, and I did not want to go, so I didn't.
He told you to get in the car and go home?
Yeah.
And what did you say to him?
Well, I was going to go. But then, I turned around and I said, no, I'm not going.
What did you say to him?
I didn't say anything to him.
When he said get in the car, did you tell him okay?
Yeah, I said okay. Yeah,
well, that's what I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking. It's not a hard question. Okay. I'm just trying to follow the events. What happened starting from once upon a time and ending with the end. So he got out of his car and he said, get in the car, I want you to go home. He says he acknowledges he said that to you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said, okay.
Right.
And he says that that's what you said. You said you would follow him, right?
She said she was going to go home to meet her there.
But then you decided not to go home.
Yes, I decided not to go home.
So you turned around and you said to your friend,
right,
Frank.
Correct.
Frank, could you sit up, please? Good. Thank you, Frank. You said to Frank and his friends, I'm not going with him.
That's correct.
And you went back to the porch.
Right.
So far, your stories are exactly the same. But here's where we come to a fork in the road.
Right.
What happened next, Miss Utico?
Well, he got upset. He got into his car, and he wrecked into my car, which was not good enough for him, so he sped off and made a U-turn and came back around and wrecked even more into my car. And then
what do you mean wrecked? I don't know.
He wrecked his car into my car.
You mean he hit his car into your truck?
Yes, he hit his car into mine. So.
And he did that twice?
He did it twice.
Mr. Corona?
Yes, ma'am.
I've read your answer, and you flatly deny that this is the way it happened. So I have a few questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Corona.
Yes.
What did you have an argument with Miss Utico about that evening?
We were arguing about her staying home and her wanting to go out. I was trying to get her to stay home, but she insisted on leaving. She told me that she had to get up to go to work in the morning. That's why she wanted to drop me off, because usually I stay the night there. And it was kind of odd that she wanted me to go home, because she actually picked me up, and usually I drive over there, but she picked me up earlier, and then she dropped me off. You know, she insisted on dropping me off.
I don't, excuse me, ma'am.
So, you cared about her a lot?
Sure. Very much so.
You the jealous type?
No, but a
little bit?
Sure, isn't everybody?
I don't know. Depends upon if you've got something to be jealous about. So let me understand this, Mr. Corona. Your girlfriend tells you she's got to get up early in the morning and she drives you home.
That's what she said.
You've got something in the back of your head that says, what's your first name?
Steve.
Steve, something's not kosher here. Because I usually spend the night, so I'm going to get into my car and go and look for her. Right? That's what you did.
Exactly.
And you're driving around, and something said, why don't you go over to old Frank's house?
Mm-hmm.
So you had the feeling maybe she was over there fooling around with Frank, right?
Possibly.
Well, you were going to give it a look-see anyway, right?
Sure.
I mean, is that what happened? Sure, that's where your car ended up.
Sure.
And then, sure enough, your girlfriend of a year and a half who had to get up early to go out to do something the next day, there she was, sitting, chilling with Frank on the porch. And you double parked your car next to hers.
Exactly next to hers on the side, parallel.
And you got out of the car and you said, I want you to get into the car and come home with me. Right?
And she said
and
yes.
She said
yes.
Yes.
She said, I'm going to follow you. I'll meet you at my house.
I'm going to follow you home. I'm going to meet you home. And then she didn't.
That's right.
And then, according to your answer, you went home and went to sleep.
That's right.
That's wrong.
First, before I went home, I went to her house and I waited in the front for her at her house.
Just a second. So you actually followed her direction and you went home.
Yeah. No.
How long did you sit in your car in front of her house waiting for her?
About 20 minutes.
Till he broke into my house.
Don't speak. 20 minutes?
About 20 minutes.
20 minutes. And while you were waiting this 20 minutes, did you start to get upset?
No.
You started to get, just a second, you started to get, if you weren't upset, did you start to get hungry?
I was.
Shh. Did you start to get hungry? Tired?
Yeah, tired, yes.
So you were tired?
Yes, I was tired.
And you said, forget it.
Exactly.
She made a fool out of me.
I'm done with it.
I'm finished with her.
That's right.
She made a real fool out of me this time because she made a fool out of me earlier in the evening when she drove me home.
Mm-hmm.
And she was maybe going to have somebody else come and stay over, but it wasn't going to be me that night. And now I went over there and made a fool out of myself in front of other people. And she made a bigger fool out of me, so you went home and went to sleep.
I threw in the towel.
Could I see the pictures of the car, please? You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Well, you made the report the very next day. Right. What happened? Did they ever come to see you, Mr. Corona? The police?
No, ma'am.
They never came to see you?
No, ma'am.
You live in Los Angeles?
Yes.
They're probably real busy. Mr. Corona, I'm going to ask a question, but you don't even have to answer, Mr. Corona. I want you to look at my face. It's a nice face, right? You wouldn't lie to this face, Mr. Corona, would you? So I don't even want you to answer me, sir. Did it feel good? Did it feel good? It's going to cost you $2,284.56. I hope it felt that good. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Cost of 4 pigs, a hog waterer, and lost wages.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2181, Moore versus Foreman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Moore, you're suing the defendant because it is your claim that you sold him, I believe, 4 piglets, and he never paid you for them.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what the case is about. Now, tell me where you live.
I live
in Pinehurst, but outside of Pinehurst, south in a valley.
Pinehurst is where?
In Idaho.
So you live in Idaho. Is
Yes.
that farming community?
Yes, small.
Who do you live there with?
Me, my mom, and my sister.
You have a farm?
Yes.
How many acres?
Right now, 5. Yes, we're working on buying land next to us.
But right now you have 5 acres. Tell me
Yes.
what you raise.
Right now, we raise cows, pigs, and goats.
You own that property?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long have you owned that property and raised those farm animals?
Lived on the property my whole life, raised farm animals since I was about 16.
And you sell them for what?
I mainly do meat animals, so when it comes to beef, cattle, pigs, meat, goats.
But you sell them on their own hoofs?
Yes, yep, on the hoof, not by meat.
And what do you do, Mr. Foreman?
An underground shift supervisor,
What is that?
underground miner.
Do you live close by to Mr. Moore?
Live a couple miles above him,
How long have you lived there?
going on 5 years.
Tell me what interest you have in pigs.
Me and my buddy, we have a hobby, so to speak. He has cattle at his place, and I have raised pigs at mine.
How many acres is your house?
Just over 5.
All you raise are pigs.
Correct.
And I assume you sell the pigs for meat.
Correct.
When was the first time, Mr. Foreman, you purchased pigs from Mr. Moore?
Probably 2 years ago now.
Okay. How many did you purchase?
The first time, I want to say it was 400 and some change.
For 3.
Correct.
Okay. That was a couple of years ago.
Correct.
Did you sell those pigs?
Correct.
They're not part of your current lifestyle.
No.
And you keep them for how long before you sell them?
Until they make a certain weight, about 250, 280 pounds.
Now, when you buy them from the plaintiff or from anybody, how big are they?
The ones that I purchased from Logan were small, probably 30, 40 pounds maybe.
So they must eat a lot for them to get to 250.
A lot.
And give me some idea, because I really don't know the answer to this question. How much would you sell a 250-pound pig for?
If they're totally butchered, cut, and wrapped, it's about $800 to $900. If I'm doing the cutting and wrapping,
And if you're not?
then I sell it for hanging weight. So whatever the animal weighs after it's butchered out, then we set a price for that. Usually $3.50 to $4 a pound.
You pay about $125 for them. You feed them for a year.
Not quite a year, but close.
Okay, well, not quite a year. And then you sell them for 6 or 7 times what you paid for them, minus the feed, whatever that is, minus what it is to feed.
Except for there's more than just the feed. There's all the time and labor it goes into cutting
Oh,
and wrapping.
absolutely.
And
But you make a profit.
make a profit, yes.
And you don't go that route. You sell them when they're young?
Correct.
That's your business, to
That
sell
is.
them when they're young?
Yes.
Okay. So the first time Mr. Foreman bought from you, evidently things went well. Tell me about this most recent sale where there is an issue.
Yes, so Brandon contacted me that I have a gas station that he goes to. She mentioned to him that I have pigs for
Is
sale.
that how you found out?
That is correct.
Okay, go.
That I had pigs for sale. And then he got my number from her. He contacted me, said that he is interested in my pigs. We set up a time for him to come meet and look at the pigs.
What date?
It was July 28th, 2022.
Okay.
And then he came and looked at the pigs then, and he liked them.
How old were they?
They were 2.5 months, which would be right around 40 to 45 pounds.
And you had 4 of them?
4, correct.
Is that how many there were in the litter or however?
No, those were just the ones I had left. There were 9 in that litter.
So you had already sold 5?
Yes.
And 4 left?
Yes.
Is that the time you usually buy them, Mr. Foreman, when they're 2.5 months old?
No.
How old are they when you usually buy them?
It depends.
Depends on what?
Price, money,
Okay.
where they're at.
Well, so give me a range. What?
So these ones were relatively close. I didn't have to travel far. At the time, they seemed like a pretty decent price deal.
And what did he sell them to you for? He wants to take the pigs. You didn't have any money at the moment. And what was the deal?
Logan Moore claims his family friend, Brandon Foreman, owes for the cost of 4 pigs. Brandon says Logan sold him pigs that were sick.
Okay. What did he sell them to you for?
I believe for the 4 pigs in water, it was $7.20.
25. 4 pigs, and there was a water little machine that you also...
No, it was just a plastic tote with nipples on it for the pigs to drink water out of.
Okay.
There's no machine, no nothing to it.
So for $725, you got the a picture of that to show me?
I do not know.
I'll have to use
Judge,
my imagination based upon Mr. Foreman's. Oh, you have a picture of it, sir?
Your Honor.
What?
It was $740, $160 each for the pigs, and then $100 for the water.
Judge, I do not. I do not have a picture of the water.
Okay.
The water was like a 275-gallon tank with 4 nipples on the outside of it at the bottom that you can fill with water. Pigs drink out of the nipples easier than they do like a dish.
Whatever. I get the picture. Okay. Now, let's say I take your number, Mr. Foreman, $725. You purchased the pigs on July 28th, 2022. Is that right?
Correct.
Did you pay him for them?
At the time that I went and looked at the pigs, I told him up front, and plain as day, I do not have the money to pay you right now, right off the bat. I don't have the money. But I was under the understanding from his relative that works at the gas station that he doesn't have the time.
No. You can't tell me what the relative at the gas station told you. You went to see the pigs.
I went to see the pigs.
You went to see the pigs, Mr. Foreman, and you told me a moment ago, I said, how much were the pigs? And she's going to read back exactly what you said.
You asked him, did you pay for them? And he said, at the time I went and looked at the pigs, I told him up front, plain as day, I do not have the money to pay you right now.
Before that, there was something about $725.
Okay.
How much were they? And he said the whole thing, the 4 pigs and a watering was $725.
$720 for the pigs and the water machine.
$720.
$720.
Oh, that's what you said. You said they were $720. That was the discussion when you went and looked at the pigs. Okay, and you said, I don't want to take the pigs and the watering thing. You want to take the pigs. You didn't have any money at the moment. And what was the deal that you came up with?
That I would pay him for him when I was able to.
Nah. That I don't believe.
That
I don't believe.
That is the truth.
Yeah. Then he's foolish because when are you able to?
When I was able to.
What does that mean? That means you determine whether or not when and if you're going to pay for these things that you took?
It depended on when I was able to have the money available.
That was in July.
Correct.
You work in a mine.
Correct.
You work for a company?
Correct.
How long have you worked for them?
3 years.
Mm-hmm. You get paid annually or by the hour?
Annually.
And what's your pay annually?
$90,000, give or take.
Give or take a what?
I get bonuses.
Okay. You're going to get, in the month of January, a $10.99. How much did you earn last year with bonuses?
I don't know. I haven't received my bonus yet.
Oh, you haven't received it yet? Okay, so it's $90,000 base pay. Who else do you support?
My wife and 5 children.
What does your wife do?
Stay-at-home mom.
When was the last time you sold any pigs?
It's been a while.
How long? Month and year?
It's been probably 6 months, 6, 7 months.
Okay. How many did you sell?
At the time, the last...
6 or 7 in the last 6 months. How many did you sell?
1 or 2.
Well, I want you to think carefully. If you're on a salary and you have a wife and 5 children, that it's important if you make between $800 and $900 for each pig that you have. I want to know if it's 1 or 2.
It was 2.
And let's say I'm not going to take the higher figure, I'll take the lower figure. That's $1,600. You said between $800 and $900 each. That's $1,600 plus your income from your job.
Unfortunately, that $800 to $900 that I get for that I spoke about.
I don't understand, sir.
I have the shop. I have the space, the shop, the meat cooler, the room at my house to hang and cut animals. He comes up and he helps. We split it equally, right down the middle. So the $800 or $900, I don't get that.
Just a second. He raises cattle.
Correct.
And you split his cattle with him, and you have pigs, and he splits the pigs with you.
No. I let him use the shop and my meat cooler. The cattle's his deal. But he comes up and helps me cut and wrap the pigs.
Oh, then he doesn't get half. That's baloney. That's baloney. If you raise them, you feed them, you pay for them. If he wraps them, you're not giving him half. In any event,
it's not.
In any event, you have a job. You have a $90,000 plus job. You made a commitment of $720 to the plaintiff to pay for his pigs, and you paid nothing.
The pigs died.
Just a second. I read that here. Tell me when the pigs died. Tell me the month and day the pigs died that you communicated with him this pig died, that pig died, this pig died.
I didn't communicate with him about when the pig died or when
Did you communicate with him at all? I'm sorry, when he asked you for the money.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
I was.
Okay, when he said, where's my money? That was in what month? I know when July 28th is when you picked them up. In what month did he communicate and say to you, I want my pigs? Or I want the money? Tell me.
August.
August what?
One was August 16th, one was August 17th.
Okay, so he communicated with you the 16th and the 17th of August. So by this of July.
And the first one had already died in that.
Just a second. During that time, now when did the first pig die?
A week and 3 days after I got it home.
Did you tell him?
No.
Oh, then you're going to pay for all of them, sir.
What?
You're going to pay for all of them.
No.
Oh, yes. Just show me that you said to him, one got sick, it died. I'm afraid for the others, so I just as soon give them back to you and cancel this whole deal. Show me.
I offered multiple times to take the pig.
Logan Moore has accused his family friend, Brandon Foreman, of refusing to pay for the pigs he purchased. Brandon claims Logan sold him sick pigs and only one survived.
Go ahead.
So if you went to the grocery store and you bought a bag of apples and the apples are rotten in the middle, but the outside looked fine, you would still pay for those and just be content with them?
I'm going to give you the different example, sir, not apples. I'm going to give you an example with puppies, which I have here all the time. Your pigs were not sold to you with any health guarantee. Let's start there. Dogs, cats, animals, pet animals are usually sold through a breeder or somebody that you buy from. You have a contract that says, take the dog or the cat to the vet within the next 3 days or the next 24 hours or 48 hours. Any health deficiency in the cat or dog, we will either refund your money or give you a new cat or a new dog at the discretion of either the buyer or the seller. That's what happens. Now, you had the animals at your place for 2 weeks, and I assume you have other animals. Just assume you have other animals.
I had other pigs at the time.
Just assume you have other animals, and I also assume that you have no vet report.
I do.
I'd like to see it. I don't care about a bill. I want a report.
I don't have a report. I have a bill.
Then, sir, you're going to pay him his $720. You're going to pay him his $720. I don't care what the bill was. How does he know? How do I know what the pig picked up, the one that died, at your place over the course of a week and a half? What you said to me was you took the pigs and said, I'll pay him when I can. Now they're yours.
So I had other pigs at the time, full-grown pigs, that were ready to go. So then I brought these other piglets home, and then the one started getting sick, so then I had to separate the pigs. So then I had to spend all this time and money giving them shots, trying to keep them healthy, and then I had to build a whole separate pen to contain them because I don't want to get the full-grown pigs getting whatever disease or whatever they had.
Did you ever call the plaintiff when the first pig got sick and said, listen, this pig is sick, and I'm not sure about the other piglets that are here, and that's in the first 2 weeks. I'd like to return them to you. He didn't have any babies at the time because he had sold 5. He had 9 in the whole litter or whatever they call it. Just show me that you said to him, one got sick, it died. I'm afraid for the others, so I just as soon give them back to you and cancel this whole deal. Show me where you did that the first 2 weeks in August.
When I first picked up those pigs,
just show me.
I don't have that.
Sir, then what you're saying is unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable. Why do I need to burden him with these sick pigs?
And the judge, you said I bought them. I didn't pay for them, but I shouldn't have to pay for them because now I had to build a whole separate pen. I had to separate them. And this is all without advising him. All without advising him and saying to him, listen, I didn't want to buy sick pigs. It looks as if these are sick pigs. I don't want the extra responsibility. I don't have the money right now. Take them back. Show me. Show me.
I offered multiple times to take the pigs back to him and the water.
Show me. Show me within the first couple of weeks when one died, so you had to separate all of them. That's the first 2 weeks in August. That's all I want to see.
Right here.
I'd like to see
August
it, please.
17th.
Okay, great.
The one in blue.
Shh. I'm reading. This doesn't say anything about sick pigs, sir. August 16th, 17th were the 2 dates you gave me. This was on August 17th. He says, do you have the money to me tomorrow, or I'm getting law enforcement involved? You don't say one of the pigs is sick. One of the pigs died. I'll bring them all back. You say, I'm working on getting you the money. But if this is how it is, then I will bring you back the pigs and all tonight. I have some blank coming up that has taken precedence in my finances. I'm sorry that this has been less than ideal, but this is where I am now. That doesn't say anything about pigs being sick, dying. It says, I have other things to do with my money now. That's what it says, right?
But I clearly
That's
offered
what it
to
says.
bring
Well,
the pigs back.
just a second. That's what it says. He didn't have a buyback agreement from you. Now you have the pigs. Whether they died or whether they didn't die or whether they got sick, you've had them. Now we're in January, August, September, October, November, December. We're in January. There's 6 months.
Did not expect Brandon to mention sick pigs.
They just wouldn't put on weight. They started not wanting to eat or drink anymore. Then they just got real skinny, no matter what I did or the vets did.
He never told me.
They just ended up passing away.
If it was sick, I would put them in a treated pen that I have that's actually on concrete where they cannot pick up any other diseases from the ground.
Some kind of infection.
And I make sure the animal is even safe for transport.
I wasn't going to do the blood test on him to try to figure out.
I honestly have done multiple payment plans with multiple farmers.
I shouldn't have to pay.
And I will do it in the future too.
Got frustrated.
I'm glad it's over. I don't have to chase my money anymore.
So I don't know a lot about pigs or farming or,
no.
or housing pigs, but I was really surprised at the profit margin that the defendant was explaining. If you buy the pigs at 40 pounds, not also great at math or word problem math questions. But if you buy a pig at 40 pounds for $160, you have to feed it all the way up to 280 pounds in order to sell it to anyone. You have to, I don't even want to think about how much food that requires to feed the pigs. But then your profit, even if he wasn't splitting it with whoever helps him cut and butcher the meat, is only $800 as a high figure. That seems like a very low profit margin to have pigs in your house and to have them in your backyard and build a pen with 5 kids. That just seems like a lot for a profit margin that I expected to be much higher. That's really labor-intensive work. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, different part of the...
Former landlord, Kazi Ahmed, for a security deposit, invasion of privacy, and harassment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2047, Sosikian versus Hamad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You had a house.
Yes.
Where?
In Sun Valley.
When did you purchase the house?
I purchased it 4 years ago.
How much did you pay for it?
We purchased it for $585, I believe.
And you sold that house to Mr. Ahmed, what month and year?
We sold it in, I believe it was January.
Of 2022?
Yes.
And you sold it for how much?
$574,500.
Where did you move to?
I moved to Palmdale.
Did you buy something else?
Yes.
And Mr. Ahmed, you took a mortgage out?
Yes.
How much is your mortgage?
I bought the house February 15, 2022, not January, and I pay for it $710,000.
So you paid $710,000?
Yes.
Not $574,000?
No.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I might not be remembering the exact amount.
Well, that's a big, not exactly. $574,000 to $710,000 is a big difference.
Yeah, it was $710,000.
In one case you lost money. In one case, you made money.
It was $710,000. I apologize.
Okay, so $710,000.
Yes.
Yes, honor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How much is your mortgage payment each month?
$5,100.
Okay, and when you sold Mr. Ahmed the house, you didn't have a place to go, according to your complaint, and you asked for a rent back.
I was in escrow.
But you didn't have a place to go. Whether you were in escrow or in an igloo in Eskimo, it doesn't mean anything. You didn't have a place to go.
Correct.
So you asked them if you could stay in the house and rent it from them. How many people are there in your family?
My family, it's 3 kids.
So who was living in the house? You,
It was
three
me,
children?
my husband, and I have my 2 sons that are with me. My daughter doesn't live with me.
So you asked if you could rent the house back for a few months. He was nice. He said yes. How much rent did he ask for?
He asked for $4,000.
He asked for $4,000?
Yes, for 3 bedrooms, he asked for $4,000.
Your Honor,
He never,
no.
Just a second. He asked for $4,000 even
That's
though his
correct.
mortgage was $5,100?
$4,000. I paid a whole total together with everything with security deposit, and I paid $12,000.
No. That's not what I'm asking you with security deposit. That's what we're here for your security deposit.
Yeah.
I'm asking you how, considering his mortgage was $5,100 and he doesn't know you from a hole in the wall, so that makes him a very nice person to rent it back to you so that he's at a loss every month of $1,100. Do you understand?
Yes, I do understand.
Great. And what you're doing here is you want your deposit back.
Yes, that's correct.
$4,000. And Mr. Ahmed says that not only did he have to spend $4,000 to fix the damage you and your family caused to the house while you were living there for those few months, but he had to spend an additional $6,000. That's what he says. He had to spend an additional $6,000 because the place was destroyed because you had a disagreement with him over the date that you were going to be receiving your deposit back. That's his claim. So there were a couple of things that were sort of questionable to me.
I
Madam.
have not damaged, though. I have pictures of the house when I left.
Just
there
a
was
sec-
no damage.
That's a fine.
Fine.
You're going to show them to me.
Okay.
The one thing that I found strange, so now I have the facts straight. So you moved into the house in February?
In the house?
Yes.
Yes.
So you rented in February and March?
Yes.
2 months.
We moved out April 6th.
Okay. Now, you told him you were moving out, and he came to the house to do an inspection. And that was before your move-out date. On what date did you meet together for him to go through the house? And let me refresh your recollection. You came to the house. He walked around with you. And at that time, he said these few things need repair. And there was not extensive damage anywhere. And when he got to the house, he rang the bell and he opened the door and you looked through the house.
Yes.
On what date was that? Do you remember?
The day that I gave him my keys to the door.
No. That's not the date you moved out. That's the date that he came there to do a walkthrough with you, your husband, and or children. I don't know who was there. And
Your Honor, he made a lot of walkthroughs.
no, I'm
made, like,
asking the last one that he
The
made.
last one?
Yes.
The last one he did, I don't remember the exact date.
They had been living there February, all of February, and most of March. Was the house in pretty good shape on March 23rd? Was it in the same shape on March 23rd when you saw it on April 6th?
Yes, because when I saw the damages of my house, I request her, what is this? I show her.
No, just a second. What did you show her?
About the floor damage, wall damage, and there is...
Oh, well, show me on the pictures that you took on March 23rd.
Okay.
He quite damaged it himself from his construction that he did.
Just a second.
He did construction while I was living there. For the whole 2 months I was there, he did construction.
Okay.
You know what I find problematic in both your complaint and
I would
answer?
like to pass my evidence.
Just a second. I'm going to tell you what I find difficult in both your complaint and his answer. That when you left the house, you took the doorbell with you. When you left the house, you took the doorbell with you. Now, he bought the house. He's paid you for the house. You've got $710,000. On the day the house closed, there is no question in my mind that there was a doorbell. Okay. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have no right to take anything from that house once it's sold. You're a renter.
Your Honor, I believe I do, because on the document it says the only thing that I'm supposed to leave for him is the washer and dryer and stove.
Madam, that's something. Have you never bought property before, or are you just trying to be obtuse? I would never think. I bought and sold dozens of homes. Never in one contract. In all, and I'm a lawyer, my husband's a lawyer, grandchildren are lawyers, my children are lawyers. Not in one contract does it ever talk about a doorbell. It is assumed that you leave the doorbell, that you leave the toilets, that...
No, that was not a doorbell, it was a Ring camera.
I don't care if it was a Ring camera, I don't care if it was an MGM camera or a universal picture camera. It's not yours. It's part of the property. You have no right to take it. Period. Put your hand down. Sometimes when it doesn't appear that you're losing, you're supposed to be quiet. Do you understand? You have no right to take certain things. Once the house is sold, nothing there belongs to you. Nothing. After the house was sold, for the 2 months that you lived there, are you telling me you lived without a doorbell? Are you telling me that you lived without a doorbell? No, you lived with a doorbell.
It's a ring. Your Honor, it's a Ring camera.
I don't care what it is.
It was not the doorbell. It's not the doorbell. It's a Ring camera. You can replace. You can take it off and take it to your next property. That's something that I bought.
You bought a lot of things in that house, I'm sure. Did you buy wallpaper? Did you buy flooring? Did you buy carpeting? You can't take it. It doesn't belong to you. It travels with the property. When you say it's a Ring camera, when you ring the doorbell, does that activate the Ring camera?
Yes, it does.
And when you took out the whole Ring camera, did you put in a doorbell?
The doorbell was already there. I never touched the doorbell. That's why I took the camera, the Ring camera, because that belongs to me. I bought that. I didn't touch the doorbell. That's part of the house. That's part of the property. It's in the wall.
Can I see a picture of what she took?
My doorbell is not here. Here is the point.
I did not touch the doorbell. Again, he did a lot of remodeling. He probably did all the damages himself. He's trying to blame it on me.
No, that's
You're not allowed to take it. Period.
I have a lot of evidence.
You're not allowed to take it now. So I'm starting with your case. You want your deposit back.
Yes.
This gets deducted from your deposit. Did you replace this?
Not yet.
Did you get an estimate for its replacement?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. And not only doorbell, Your Honor. She took the curtain rods and also all the light bulbs.
Just a second.
Okay. Give me some time.
I don't have time.
Can I please explain what really happened and what I went through with this guy from day one?
No.
He let me rent?
Here.
No.
Because I want to prove my case because he's wrong and he's a crook.
No. Madam, you rented the house.
Yes.
For $4,000 a month.
Yes.
A 3-bedroom house.
I paid him
amount. And you paid him the amount. And you stayed there. If there was something wrong with the house, or if you didn't like the fact that he was doing construction there, or he was coming in and out of the house, even though he was renting it to you for $1,100.
Let me just tell you, he kept texting me over and over, bringing renters to show my side of the place to live. While we were living there, he harassed me every day by text messages and phone calls. Can I show the house? Every single day.
Who cares? I don't care.
But that caused a lot of tension to my family.
I don't care. Move.
She intentionally damaged.
Don't tell me what you intentionally did.
Sure, this is the damages picture.
I didn't.
Shh. I'm going to dismiss your case. Do you understand? 1, 2, 3. It will be my joy.
Mary Totsekian claims her former landlord, Kazi Ahmed, refused to return her security deposit and harassed her. Kazi is countersuing for vandalism.
Now, if you didn't like to live in a place where you were being constantly harassed, you and your husband now have a $110,000 profit from selling your house.
I gave him a $10,000 discount on that property. And he
did you understand what I just said to you? Move. Say, listen, it's not working out. You're bringing too many people in and out of the house. It's not working for me. Wait just a second. We'd like to move out before. Did you ever say that to him? The answer is no.
Because I had a lease with him.
Did you ever?
Just
a second.
Yes.
Did you ever say that to him? I would like to give you your property back earlier. We don't need it for 2 months because I don't want to be harassed. We're going to move out into a hotel until our house is ready. But you stayed there.
No, I told them that we can't keep having people come and knock on our door.
Okay.
I made it very
Madam, you're not getting compensated for that. You're a big girl. You made a lot of money on this house. You asked for a deal for him to rent it back to you. He said, fine. He's going to tell me that he wanted to have his mortgage covered, and you were not prepared to do that, and you were not prepared to do that.
Your Honor, let me just tell you, the living situation for that 2 months that I was there was hell with him. He caused me all kinds of anxiety. The last day when I was supposed to give him the keys so I can leave, he opened the door and started arguing with me in front of my 11-year-old kid. He made him cry. He caused a lot of trauma to our family.
Your Honor, her son was not there.
He's a monster. He doesn't care about anything else. And then he did remodeling. Now he's trying to get the money out of me to pay for it because he's broke. That's
okay. First of all, this comes off the deposit, and then I want to see the estimate.
All I want is my $4,000 security deposit.
On March 23rd of this year, when he came to do an initial walkthrough with you before you were leaving, Did you discuss deposit? The answer is yes.
I made
Just a second.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
And at that time, did he say to you, this needs fixed, this needs fixed? Did he say anything to you? Nothing. Did he tell you that he had, by law, 21 days to return your deposit?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you say to him?
I said, that's fine, I will wait the 20 days, but he
No, just a second.
Yes.
You said it was fine. I'll wait the 20 days.
Yeah, to get my deposit, yes.
Okay. And then what happened?
I have every text that we sent to each other.
I'm not reading every text that you sent to each other. I'm asking you after March 23rd. Go to your March 23rd texts.
I do have here.
He basically said he's
not basically. I said go to your March 23rd and thereafter
I highlight,
text.
Your Honor, for you.
After March 23rd.
Yes.
Go to your, do you have text messages? That's
Yes,
what you
it's all
said. You're
here.
looking at me.
Okay. I have a March 23 here. He led me on in the text messages saying that you help me pay my mortgage, I will help and give you a security
I'm
deposit
asking
back.
you to show me
It's
the
right
text messages after March 23rd.
This is the March 23rd.
And thereafter, you pay deposit back when there isn't any damage to the house. You don't use my deposit for anything else. You hold it for damages. Here is the notice. I would like you to meet with you and your husband. Please let me know when you are available. Please don't threaten me with my deposit.
I wasn't.
He was threatening me.
I wasn't.
Just said, please don't threaten me. You mean threaten me with my deposit. Can you show me where on the contract it says the washer and dryer stays?
That I found, it stays, and we did leave it there.
She tried to take with her that too.
Again, Your Honor, I'm just here for my deposit because I did my responsibilities and paid the rent. I was a good tenant. I kept the house beautifully clean and everything. I deserve my deposit back. That's why I'm here. I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to see him ever again. I just want my deposit.
I know what you want.
That's it.
That's why we're
just to that property.
Okay.
He's lying.
Can you show me where the contract says the washer and dryer stays, because I don't see it? I made it very clear to everyone that I paid for it, that it's going with me.
That was before I looked at the document.
Just a second.
Yes.
So that's before you looked at the document?
Yes.
When did you look at the document?
I looked at it. It was at home when I noticed it.
Did you respond to him after the 23rd and say to him, I realize that the washer and dryer
No,
stays?
because he's been threatening me constantly. Why am I going to respond to him? He's been a monster.
Can you please show me photographs of what the house looked like?
He's been a complete monster,
show me
Your
where,
Honor.
just a second. Show me what the house looked like on April 6th.
This is the pictures I have. This is what it looks like. Perfect
Just
little house.
Don't speak. Just show me.
I'm just trying to say that I'm not here for anything empty. I'm here for my deposit.
No, that's not what you're here for, just your deposit, madam. That's not what you filed a claim for. An invasion of privacy and pain and suffering. There's a whole bunch of things that you're suing for. Okay. I see these pictures.
The house is in
and just a second.
great shape.
Just a second. And is this your little dog?
Yes, it is. The house is in great shape. He has no complaints.
He's going to show me pictures. I'm going to look at them.
I deserve my deposit back. That's all I know. He wasted my time. He lied to me.
Can I see your photographs
of what the house looks like?
Your Honor, this is the picture when I bought the property with good condition.
Okay.
And this is the picture for she intentionally damaged.
Don't tell me what you intentionally did.
Sure, this is the damages picture.
I didn't do that.
I'm going to dismiss your case. Do you understand? 1, 2, 3. It will be my joy. Anybody who takes out a doorbell ring or whatever it is and leaves holes and mollies in the wall, which is exactly what you did, just like the washer and dryer. Okay.
Your Honor, this is the previous.
Don't speak. Okay. Now I'd like to see the photographs that you took April 6th or thereafter. When did you take those photographs? On what day?
I start March 23rd to April 6th.
I'd like to see the photographs.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No, some of this damage, sir, that were in the door hinges, that's not damage that they did. That's not damage that I can ascribe to them. There are some holes in the walls. I know you're showing me this. That you have to deal with.
I sold.
And it was paying you. That's a number, not a story.
Mary Totzikian accuses her former landlord, Kazi Ahmed, of keeping her security deposit and harassing her. Kazi claims Mary vandalized his house before she left.
Okay, I don't know what this is that you're showing me in this picture.
because there is a water leak from there. So the water goes in the cabinet inside.
Okay.
Okay.
I assume that you have some sort of insurance because they didn't do this damage.
Okay.
They didn't do this damage when they were there. I would like, sir, to see some of the pictures before and after. This is moldy and it's dirty. So they didn't clean the bathtub. Where are you living now, sir?
With my mom.
And who's living in the house?
I rented out.
What's the name of the people that you rented the house to?
It's Walter.
When did you rent it? On what date?
I don't remember exact date.
Well, you'll remember. You remember everything else. You remember April 6th. You remember March 23rd. Now remember what day they came.
Okay. June.
So actually the house was, just a second. So actually the house was unrented for about a month and a half.
Right. Because I...
Shh, not a because. Now, how much did you rent the house for to Walter?
$4,000.
Could you explain to me why you're renting it to somebody for less than what you pay in your mortgage?
Sure. So here is the American dream, because I came here 2013 and I started live with my mom. So me and my wife working so hard to buy the house. We save every penny day by day, and we saw a lot of house last couple years.
I'm not listening. Don't tell me your life story. I want to know why you're renting the house for less than your mortgage payment.
Because no, the people is very nice, and they said they're going to increase the rent January. They give me $5,000. That's why.
Do you have a lease with them?
I do.
You have a lease with them, and
yes.
Does the lease indicate that the rent is being raised in January?
Yes.
What?
That whole thing that he said that his place was now rented for a...
Living with you?
They were living in that back house. That house is split with the wall, so there's empty rooms in the back. So he was literally renting it out, boom, boom, like right away.
Just a second.
While I was there.
Is what you're telling me that there are two sources of income from that house?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Mr. Ahmed.
Yes.
Listen to me carefully.
Sure.
How many tenants do you have in that house?
3.
Shh.
Oh.
Look at me.
Sure.
How many tenants? You have Walter, and he pays you $4,000.
Yes.
You have another tenant.
Yes.
Okay, and the other tenant is in the back.
Yes.
And what does the other tenant pay you?
Okay, the one...
No, that's a figure.
Oh,
what does
okay.
the other tenant pay you? Don't look up there. You know exactly how much?
$3,000.
$3,000. So you cover your mortgage, and you make a little money.
Yes.
Now, while she was living there, pay attention.
Yes.
While she was living there, were you renting the back?
Yes.
Yes. And how much were you getting?
Okay.
That's a number. Okay. Before you answer the question, think. How much were you getting from the people in the back?
Same.
Same what?
Because that's not my...
But just a second. What do you mean the same? The same as what?
The people used to live there long time with her. That's her tenant, not mine. She just transferred to me.
I see. So you had a tenant living in the back.
Yes.
You had a tenant living in the
Your
back.
Honor.
And what was the rent that you were charging your tenant?
I sold my property to him as is. I did have tenants there. Yes,
Yep.
I did. And one of the tenants, I'll tell you right now,
No, I want to know what rent the tenant was paying you.
That's what I'm saying.
Just give me that's a number, not a story.
1,000, and I would say 2,000 altogether.
Sounds to me as if everybody did very well. You have to pay for the doorbell. Now I want a receipt for the doorbell. The rest of the pictures are nonsense. And you had no loss of income. Just a second.
Yes,
I want the estimate for the doorbell. That's what I want. That's going to be deducted from the... Put your hand down. Otherwise, you're gone. Do you understand? Doorbell.
$84.
Estimate. $84.
Yes, something like that.
Great. Do the math for me. I think it's $3,900, whatever. $4,000 less 84.
$39.16.
To the plaintiff that I think
mitigates
in your favor, other than the doorbell, which I actually find outrageous.
Right, Your Honor.
And you had no loss of income. So clearly what you did was purchase this house, and you make an income from this house every month.
After I pay my mortgage, and there is a service like expenses, and also there is a like utilities bill is so expensive now.
I don't care. $39.16. Judgment for the plaintiff. Your counterclaims dismissed. We are finished with this case.
Right.
Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
I deserve my security deposit back. I did very well with paying the rent, and I feel like this was fair.
I'm not happy about it because I'm the buyer and I bought the house. There is a lot of damages after she moved out.
He was pretty much texting and having renters come and knock on my door every day without even giving me a notice ahead of time.
I was always giving to her 2-3 days notice to go in the property.
It was not easy, but you know, we moved on to something better, so.
She's still living in the American dream.
You know, this case is sort of an example of you read a complaint and you read an answer and you sort of have a predetermination of what the case might look like and how that shifts. Because when I originally saw these people, I said, you know, she took the doorbell and the ring thing with her. Why? And it was with the washer and dryer. She said, I'm taking it. It was in the contract that it stayed. But then when I got to know both of these people, Sarah, they were both a little bit of hustlers. Nobody told me up front that there was a back apartment that they rented. And I said, why was this guy being such a good guy?
Yeah. And he didn't say, well, actually, I'm not that great of a guy. I rent the backside and cover my expenses.
I rent the back for $3,000 and it all covers his expenses. They actually, both of them, deserved each other a little bit. He didn't deserve another $6,000 in addition to the $4,000 because I didn't see that much in damage. I mean, you looked at some of the pictures.
I saw some of the photos and it looked like
holes, you know, from pictures in the wall.
Vậy là chúng mình đã tô xong bức tranh ngày hôm nay rồi đây. Các bạn hãy cho mình biết ý kiến của các bạn về bức tranh này nha. Video của mình xin được kết thúc ở đây. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video hướng dẫn tô màu rồi tiếp theo nhé. Các bạn cũng đừng quên nhấn like và đăng ký kênh nữa nha. Bye bye, hẹn gặp lại các bạn.